Okay, welcome. Now, this wasn't supposed to be a live show today. I was going to film something really cool. I just got home from work, and on my journeys in between work and here, I managed to acquire some really cool plants that I was going to share with you. And it was quite an adventure today. And I got up here and I was ready to film. I had my camera bag, I had my tripod. I went to go get the camera, open the camera bag up. Camera's at home, right in front of the computer. So I luckily still had my laptop in the car, so I said, why not? And at that, I was thinking about a lot of things today while I was working, and I just came to the conclusion that I'm kind of confused. The whole, I'm looking at the news once in a while, and I see a bunch of things that pop up, and I had to really put my mind around something. Why would you cancel school on Friday to go protest in the city, and then cancel your musician that you invited yourself to perform at your event because they have dreadlocks? That for me is the most ridiculous thing. So I want to say one thing about Fridays for Future, and that be Fridays for Future, you guys have no future. Why don't you quit running around finding an excuse to not go to school, get an education, and actually change the world with experience and with some technical knowledge and gaining access to resources that can actually do positive changes in the world rather than go out and rant and rave about how life sucks for you guys? Why not rather go out and actually do something for nature, like save a tree or plant something that's good for the local bee population and the butterflies and the insects? So that was my message. And I think, yes, it's every right for you guys to go protest, but there's no common sense behind it, and there is no positive outcome at all out of all of your commotion. So I'm going to show you how I would attack that situation. I'll be right back. I have to go unload the van. Like I said, this one's supposed to be live. First off, greetings, Curtis Miller and S. Dellinger. Thank you for tuning in. I had a little rant there just now. I was a little bit upset about what I was reading in the news about the ignorance that is being entertained in this world here. Yes, restart. I will not go anywhere. I'm going to go unload the van. I've got some really cool things to show you. I'm going to set them right here, and then I can rotate the laptop around. I got Pooh Bear running around me in circles here. So, hello, Brian. I'm going to return. I'm going to go get my bucket full of cool plants that I just saved out of the construction site today. I'll be right back. Ow! Poke me. Ooh, let's It's very heavy. But that wasn't my main score today. All right. Okay. Oh, quiet. Silence. That was my buddy Chris asking me if I've got some more supplies to continue working on the blacksmith shop. I'm filming that in sections, and I'm not going to reveal much of the progress until it gets to the point where I can reveal the progress. So, but good news, I have begun work on the new blacksmith shop. It's so exciting, and I'm so excited. But for now, let's keep that topic. That's not a topic for today's video. This little tree right here, it's about up to here. So I'd say it's about 1.40 meters, 1.50 meters. It's about 3.5 feet. It seems to be a walnut tree at the first glance, and I managed to save the roots as good as possible. I was at a recycling place last week, and I saw this tree, and I saw I had to have it because it was in a pile of trash. There was this little mound of earth. There was a car tire, a shoe, a glove, and a jug of oil. Can you imagine that? Someone threw their oil out in the forest. Well, of course, in a pile of more trash. That's it. Just I think that was kind of like the inviting idea. Let's just throw it here. It doesn't matter. But oil, a jug of used motor oil. So I went inside the recycling place and I said, "Hey guys, there's a jug of oil out there. Um, if I could bring it in and they'll take care of it." They said, "Yeah." And I said, "There's a nice little tree growing next to it. Do you mind if I save that tree?" And they said, "Go for it." So I said, "Thank you." And they actually even let me have a shovel. Isn't that awesome? They gave me a really nice shovel for free to dig this up. So I really was thankful for that. Now, digging this up, this soil was actually contaminated already a long time ago. So I didn't want to bring that home with me. So what I did was I took this and I cleaned off all the soil. I used a soft mixture of detergent to loosen the oil out of the roots of this tree, washed it thoroughly, and then rinsed it under running water for 5 minutes, and then stuck it in some clean water for about 4 or 5 hours before I got to go home. So now the plant has not yet formed complete buds, so we may be able to actually save this tree. It was doomed in the first place. And another cool thing was when I pulled it out, there was a nut screwed on to one. It had grown through a nut in its original state from the seed, which was so cool. I unscrewed it, of course, because I didn't want to keep that on the tree. And it seems to now, the smell of oil has now deteriorated, so there's no more. I don't think we have a risk of contaminating the soil. So what I'm going to do is I'm not even going to stick this in the ground yet. I'm going to back. I'm going to get, I have a bunch of these pails. Yes, not very Viking age, I know, but I also do a lot of gardening. And very useful for carrying firewood. And they're super cheap. They're like €3, €2.50. Sometimes they're on sale for like €1 in some places. They really stink when you get them new. And they're made out of recycled material. So this walnut tree will be going in one of these here, like that. So what I need to do, I hope it doesn't rain. If it rains, I'm going to have to pack up the live stream just in case you guys see me pack the laptop up. So you guys are going to see me plant this tree live and do nature a great favor. So we're going to need some plant earth. It's very heavy. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do this. All right. This. I'm going to move you guys. Hold on. Got the actually got the external mic and all the good stuff with me today. Look at that. I'm all prepared. Right here. Can you guys see me? Okay, we got the wind kicking in. Wind. First comes the wind, then comes the rain. So we gotta hurry up a little bit. So I have this tree here. Move. Actually, I could put the microphone like that. Very good. Okay. I guess you guys can see what I'm doing now. Can you guys see me all right? I'm steering a bus. No, I'm having too much fun today. I'm all excited when I find these plants for free and I get to do something nice. Oh man, we really got to hurry up. The wind is kicking in. So I need a shovel. I'm going to use my hands. First, we're going to put a little bit of soil in the bottom of the bucket. Without getting it all over the computer. Haha. Okay. All right, just like that. I'm going to place the tree in the center, and I'm going to rip open the plastic bag. Take that with me. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to spread the soil into the bucket. Very tedious task. Saving the planet is hard work. I'd rather go demonstrate in the road, block a city, and cause pollution to save the future. Now, what future are you trying to save? I don't know. Future of, don't know. All right, I'm gonna push that down a little bit. Make sure the tree is nice and straight up and down. All right. Haha. So now I'm gonna use, one good thing about wood chips is your butt doesn't get dirty when you sit on the ground. I must say, I'm really happy about this tree. You guys are probably like, what the hell is he freaking out about? It's just a fucking tree. Well, let me tell you something about trees. They'll live longer than me in most cases, unless someone cuts them down or they just don't make it. And it's the feeling of having completed a task that has something to do with nature that's in a positive way, will last longer than you and possibly many generations past that. So one thing we all got to remember is in 100 years, nobody will ever know who you were and what you did. They will have forgotten your name, probably, unless you have children, your name will probably not be forgotten for that generation. But 2 or 3 generations down the road, nobody will know who Berserker Gang 2019 was. Well, maybe they will. If the internet is still around, they can probably watch this video. Maybe. But the one thing that will remain, if the conditions are correct, will be this tree. It may be 50 feet tall, and somebody may be able to sit under it because they've actually went and planted it somewhere. And that would make me very happy to have that thought while I'm still here, to know that I saved that tree. And yeah, that was God's God's come here. My dogs are taking off on me. I gotta make sure they stay close. Sometimes there's deer up in the forest. Come here, boo boo. Yeah, this one. Yeah, you want to pussy it. Boogers. So, all right. I think that's good. Plant earth is expensive. So, very good. Aha. All right. Put that up there. All right. There it is. Down up in the plant. So, I'm very happy about this. I've been actually thinking about this little tree now for the whole week. I'm going to set it over here and like, hey, get out of there. What are you doing? Dogs get into stuff sometimes they are not supposed to be in. Mouse done. He's trying to chase the mouse. All right, I'm going to set this over here in my plant nursery of my other plants that I have acquired. And it's supposed to rain the next 2 days. So what I'm going to do now, because this plant was ripped out of the ground, I'm going to really water this down heavily so that the roots can really soak in and start to form new microcilia. Oh, I opened the calendar. That's nice. Yes. And this tree can regenerate and become a healthy tree. Yes. Let's put this aside. I'll show you what else I got, and then I'll probably end the stream because I got to go home. I got dinner waiting for me. Ooh, I'm hungry. Oh, this heavy. Heavy. Oh. Okay. And then I have to put something under here so that it sits level. Be right back. There we go. I had to get a piece of wood so I can set it under the tree so it's just kind of level. I think the piece of wood is a bit too big, but it'll survive. All right, now I got some water. It's very heavy. We're just gonna pour it all through there. All right. And now I don't know if I had one of my pails that has holes in it. All right. So I'll have to check that out later. All right. It's heavy over there. There's still some more plant soil. Don't want to waste it. It's very expensive. All right, let me put you guys back up here. And this laptop, I can tell you, this laptop was a good investment. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. I only paid like $200 for it, and it goes everywhere. I mean, it gets dirty. I drag it to the camp here. What do we got here? YouTube, new comment on spring garlic. Cool. Here we got all these notifications. Go away. All right, so that's that. Whew. Now, after work, since I was in the mood to save a tree, I went by the construction market. The construction site. Yes, for my buddy who runs that place, and I said I want to go see. There was a plant out there. I'll show you guys. This is the highlight. I'm saving the best for last. Well, actually, the tree was best. I lied. Second highlight of the day. I saw this tree, and it looks like, what is this? And it smells so awesome. It has like this flowery smell. Really weird. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make cuttings of this. Now, for you that don't know what cuttings are, it's basically taking the plant and cutting a section of the plant off, putting it in earth, and letting that root. That is called a cutting. You can make cuttings out of a multitude of plants and trees. Willow works extremely well and is super easy to get cuttings to root. But this tree, I first of all don't have a clue what it is, but studying the geometry of the way it grows, I'm pretty sure I can have success with this. And I have 5 dozen pieces. The clue to cuttings, if you're going to propagate cuttings with a high success rate, will be there's a couple of factors you want to make sure. You want to make sure you get enough of the plant, if possible. And you want to make sure that you get some kind of rooting media, if you have access to that, that allows roots to grow, moisture to stay there, but not to create a soggy, wet presence. You want the moisture to be able to drain out, basically, and keep just a low level of moisture constantly there. But you don't want to have a swamp. Now, there's another method of rooting cuttings. Is just set them in water until the calluses start to sprout little tiny roots, and that would be time to stick it in soil. So there's a couple tricks and trades, but what I usually do with willow, I just stick them in a water drum and pull them out every 4 or 5 weeks and examine to see what they're doing. And then at one point, they'll actually start to grow roots. And before those roots start to rot in the water, that's when they go in the ground. Now, with other plants, I kind of experiment a little bit, and I've had great success with fruit tree cuttings when I've purchased new fruit trees and the branches had broken or something in some spots. I saved those branches and made cuttings with them. Usually, the next fall or the next summer after I've placed those cuttings and kept them watered and paid careful attention to them, I have just now several of them. I picked them up off the ground, and the roots had actually went through the flower pot already into the ground. So I was very happy about that. That's have great success. So what we got here, Moncoco64, welcome. I've kind of been busy talking here. You don't usually see me talk so much. I'm very excited about my plant find here today. My free shovel, some other neat things I found at the junk, and I also found some free 2x4s. So that was a big score today as well. Kenny Parrott, welcome. Nice of you to stop by. We're just having a little surprise live stream here. This was not planned. I forgot my camera at home, and this was so cool and very important to me, so I didn't want to have you guys miss out. Wanted you guys to be there. So what I'm going to do is actually strip all of these branches off, and each one of these branches is hopefully going to be a new tree. I'm going to make cuttings of these branches and to see what kind of tree this is, first of all. But yeah, so let me go get the scissors, and I'll be right back. She's back. The dogs are really good behaved today. Some, even Pooh Bear. Normally he likes to chase after birds and things. I don't like that. Okay. We are going to also need a plant box. We need a flower pot. Yes, there we go. Recycling. So what I like to do is I like to go to all of the plant nurseries and plastic recycling places and look for used, still in good condition flower pots, so I don't have to go out and spend my hard-earned money for plastic flower pots. Usually people throw them away. Quite often you'll get them for free, and you say thank you and goodbye, and you have a big plastic bag full of them, about a couple hundred. And when I go buy new plants, I always save the old pots as long as they're not cracked or broken. So, all right. One way to do cuttings, you need a container. In one case, even a larger size soda bottle will work. You cut the top off, about 3/4 of the way to the top. Fill it with soil or with rooting media, which in one case should be something that drains well, like shredded bark, coconut bark, or they have these pebbles that you can actually buy. They're really expensive, but in my experience, I have only used regular planting soil. I know it's not like the most professional material, but that's all I got. And I don't feel like going out and buying a bulk load of expensive stuff that I can't get in case there's a shortage, or in case, one day there won't be no more of all these fancy things. I'd like to be able to have success with simple resources. So soil is something I can find everywhere, and planting soil not so much, but this is good humus containing soil, so I can make that out of my compost right here. I have a composter right here. I put all my green cuttings in when I cut the plants, and I have when I mow some of the lawn for the dogs so they don't get ticks, I put all my green restovers in there so that they can compost. So I'm going to add soil. Okay, there we go. Yep, fill it about all the way up. Now, to make cuttings off a tree, I mean, you can use, depending on what plant species it is, some of them, they don't take well when the branch that you're using has hardened up like the center stem of the main plant. What's optimal is about as thick as your pinky finger, anywhere from the size of a pencil maybe to your pinky finger. That's perfect. Larger cuttings do root, and they do make for kind of like an upgraded step in having a greater, larger plant, but they're much harder to get to root. But they do work. You just have to have some patience. And one of the keys to having success also is not just making one, is making many. That's why I said earlier, make sure you get as much of that plant that you want to save as possible if you can. Somehow, if they've cut it already, if they've already cut the tree down, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and cut like a whole bunch of these branches off, as much as you can, or as much as you need, put it that way, so you can make about a dozen cuttings. I have a 50% rule. 50% of the cuttings survive if you do everything right. So that's, if you want 10 trees, you have to get at least 20 cuttings and water them evenly, pay the even amount of attention, and you'll have a day where you'll be like, oops, I forgot. And that's when you start to lose. You lose out because you forgot to water them or you forgot to check on them, and the dogs ran over them, and so that's the thing. So let's get with this. My main goal with this branch is to actually use this center branch because it already has a nice thick stem. And I'm going to decide now that I'm going to cut off right here. I'm going to cut off. Now I have the what's called the nodium and the internodium, which is the best place to cut a plant would be right here where the nodium is, the plant where the branch grows. Right here around that's where most of the stem cells are for this plant that are undetermined. Those cells determine whether they will grow a branch or whether they will grow roots. So we want to cut about fairly close to the bottom of one of those nodium to be able to use that top piece. And at the bottom, let me put the big piece down. Hey, Pooh, quiet. I'm talking. Pooh Bashing, come here. Come here. Did you just tie yourself up around it? Yes, you did. Okay, I'll help you out in a second. Okay, so now I have this ugly looking piece of tree. And you don't want to leave it like this because this will grow into something odd. So we want to go down to the other end now. And we're going to cut it back just below one of the nodium. Okay, and they're still green. You want to make sure it's still green right there. Now there's a branch right here. Now we're not going to cut that. We're going to actually try to tear it down. Okay, that didn't work, but a lot of plants, you can actually tear that off, which will injure the cambium layer of the plant. And that'll help, that tear will help to have a wound where, quiet, silence. So we're going to cut that right off like that. And we're going to do the same all the way around because this plant's pretty tough. Normally you can just rip them down and it breaks them off right at the nodium. And that'll leave you with plenty of area for a callus to form and roots to grow. But this plant here is pretty tough. So I don't know what it is yet. We're going to find out. So now we have to decide. Do we want, we're going to stick this in the ground probably to about right there. So what we're going to do, probably about halfway. Actually, I probably want to leave this one on as well. Cut this one and leave this top one. Now I have this here. And so that I would like the plants to grow a new piece here as well. So I'm going to cut right here. All right. Now all those pieces I cut off will make cuttings as well. Now one thing I'd also like to show you, I have this stem. I have my Mora knife here. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave off just around the bottom of the cutting so that there's a exposed cambium all the way around. That'll help for the roots to grow. Okay. And then I'm just going to simply go up behind there and I'm going to just shave off the outer bark, leaving the inner green layer. Now this camera on this laptop is not so nice, but I hope you guys can see that. The green layer right under the bark, the cambium. Nick, no, rabbits, actually, we don't have that many rabbits left here. Come here, Platz. I don't have too many rabbits here. And the dogs, they put out a nice, they protect the area fairly well with their scent. They poop all over the place. And I don't think the rabbits, they come by, and I don't think they tend to come by after that's the case. Okay. So now, one further step we could do is if you have rooting hormone. Now, I don't have any. It's hard to get in Germany, and it's super expensive. So you can make your own. You can use honey. You can mix it chemically with certain things. There's certain things you can use. But the best thing to do if you really want to use some rooting hormone, honey works well. Is you can purchase some rooting hormone. It's like a powder, and you just dip it in the powder. And the next step would be straight in the ground or in your flower pot. So that's what we're gonna do. We don't have rooting hormone right now, but the plant will take care of that all on its own. Rooting hormone actually just increases your chances of success and speeds up the rooting process a little bit better. But the plant will take care of that all on its own because we made sure to cut it. We stimulate the growth by cutting it in the right area and shaving off the bark just so ever gently in some areas to expose the cambium, which also the cambium, which also has those stem cells in it. So we're gonna go ahead and poke a hole in the earth, just like that, and just stick it right on in there like this. I'm gonna compact the earth down around it, and then I'm going to put some more. All right, there we go. That is now a little bit more. I got one handful. I go through a lot of plant earth. I buy like a pallet of it every year. Very nice. So there you have it. Next step would be to water this down so that the soil gets a initial moisture level. But since this is a flower pot, all of the excess moisture can drain straight out of the bottom. So we don't have to worry about overwatering this cutting so it won't rot or foul. And then we'll see what happens. Now, one more thing, if I was a professional gardener, I would actually take some gardener's wax for pruning trees, that when you've cut certain areas off, so the moisture won't escape from your cutting and actually dry out your cutting, possibly even killing the whole piece of the plant. You put a wax seal on all the injuries that you've cut where you've cut the branches, but I tend to not do that. I don't have professional wax, and that stuff's super expensive. I could use beeswax, but at the moment there is none just readily available, and I think this will be just fine. I have not yet determined what kind of plant it is yet. I'm excited to find that out. Now we're going to water this down, set this aside, and I'm going to show you one more way to do that, and then that's going to be probably all of the cuttings, because I have to make about 50 more of this other plant that I'm about to show you. So let me water this down real quick. Okay. Very good. Now the other way, what did I do with that other half? Well, I'm just going to use this one. The other way to do it would be just to shave off most of the branches. There are no flowering parts of this already. These leaves, okay. If I had leaves, I'd also cut the leaves off to help the plant from losing too much moisture through condensation. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut down all of these branches off, or at least most of the lower ones, so that when I stick it in the water drum, the plant has somewhere to grow roots from. Much easier. So I'm going to stick this in the water drum. This is about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, maybe 2 feet worth. It'll be stuck in the water, and through all of these open areas where these injuries are, that's where the roots are going to start to form. And some of this here, this won't hurt. Now, I've seen willow branches that are almost taller than me root just from sticking in water. So that's shouldn't be a problem for this plant either, because it looks kind of, this might even be some form of willow. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Pretty cool. So I'm going to go stick this over here. You can see in the back there I have my willow branches. I'm going to lower the camera so you can see. There. I'm just going to walk over here. And since this is separated, I'm going to put that right up here in the front. Just like that. And I'm going to leave it and check it every couple months. And as soon as I have a nice, maybe this long roots, then I will find it a pot of soil, and we'll have a new plant. And when you take cuttings from the plant, what you're doing is you're actually cloning the mother plant or the original plant, which is cool, because if that's, for example, a good thing, if you were to move out of your old house and you had a grandpa's cherry tree or something sentimental of value to you, and you couldn't dig up the entire tree because it's just too huge and you're really sad about leaving that tree behind, go and take a bunch of cuttings off if possible and root those cuttings, and you have that is that tree. That is that exact same tree. It's genetically identical. And so that's something really cool. You'll have, that tree with you many times. And that's like a little cool trick to know. So that's real quickly. Let's see what we got here. Letztens auch das Stück gepflanzt, die ich auch. Hallo Ragnar, wie geht's? Heute mal ein kurzes Video. Ich wollte eigentlich meine Kamera mitbringen, aber die liegt zu Hause. Und da habe ich gedacht, komm, mach mal Livestream. Wollen wir es den Fridays for Future und Fuzis mal echt mal zeigen, wie man es richtig macht. So that was a message there in German real quick. Just saying that I forgot my camera, and we're going to show those Fridays for Futures. Show those Fridays for Futures fans how to do it the right way. So now I have all of these branches. These are awesome cuttings as well. I'm going to set those. I have a smaller container for those. I'm not going to put those in those big drums. They'll sink. They'll just disappear in there, or maybe even rot the water if they don't root. So I'm going to separate the size. I'm going to go ahead and do these later off camera because I'd like to show you one more thing. And then I got to get cracking here. There we go. I'll show you this one. Yes. In this tub, I have a whole bunch. Ouch, spikes. Here we go. Look at this. That's why I like going to the construction site. My buddy's got all kinds of, he doesn't know, he just digs up stuff. This plant, I don't know what it is as well, but I have 1, 2, 3 or 4 of them now that are about 3 or 4 foot tall. And it's about a meter and a half. I have 4 or 5 of them. I had 50. Let me see if I can sit down. Yes, I'm going to sit down a little bit. I have a little bit of pain today. I can't stand up so much. So I had about 50 of these as cuttings. One leaf with the stem stuck in the ground. I got those about 2 years ago from the guy. I drove 400 kilometers to buy my very first bee tree. It was very exciting. And this guy was like a professional gardener, and he had all kinds of bee plants. And he gave me for free when I bought the trees, because I bought a large quantity of stuff with him, a whole bunch of these cuttings. And he said, I have no idea if they will work. He's never tried it before, but this plant is super cool for bees, and it blooms very nicely. And I've had it for 3 years now, and I keep looking at this thing and I'm like, when's it bloom? But I know now through doing some research with other plants that some plants, they take years to develop the stage where they actually start to bloom. So I'm now being very patient and watching this plant. It grows about this much every year, about a good 2 feet maybe. And now I'm really excited because maybe this year that one will bloom. And now I have actually, at the construction site, Vanessa and I were digging up willow branches we were trying to get for our projects here because they just cut down a bunch of the willows. And we're like looking under a pile of roots that someone had just pushed over with the excavator. There was this big root of this plant. And I said, that's the plant that I have that I don't know what it is, but there's lots of it here. So I went back after work today and I asked my buddy if he minds, if I could go dig up some plants. He said, go for it, knock yourself out. So I went back there and I dug up as much of that root as I could possibly get. This whole piece here is still alive. This is still attached. And this is so exciting because once I find out what this is, I'll have like 200 of these plants. And then I can pick the best, nicest ones and put them in, propagate them in tubs and reproduce them and sell them to other beekeepers. That's so exciting. Yes. But I don't think I have to show you guys how I'm going to do that. Very similar to what I just showed you. I'm going to take the best pieces and just plant them in pieces that already have roots like this. They're going to go straight in soil. There's a couple of them where the branch had broken off. I'm going to cultivate them in water until they show first signs of rooting, and then I'll stick them in some soil as well. But for now, I'm looking for the best pieces, and they're going to go straight in some soil. Looking at the sky right now, looks like I got to hurry up because it's getting cold and it's getting a little bit darker. I just want to say I'm real happy to see you guys tune in to my little spontaneous live stream. And yeah, hope you Fridays for Futures guys watching this, which probably no one's going to watch my channel Fridays for Futures. I have better things to do than actually watch YouTube videos how to save nature and do good for the bees and the insects and for your environment and for your own conscience. They'd rather go out and demonstrate about nonsense in the street. So thank you, S. Dellinger. It makes me happy to see that you wrote that you're also happy that I'm here. So my dogs are doing silly things. They're rolling in the dirt. Jeez, Pat, you happy dogs. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Gonzo. He's lost a lot of weight. Yeah. I'm going to feed him some T-bone steaks tonight. I paid 20 euros for 2 steaks. Two steaks cost 20 euros. And I'm not even going to eat them. They're for the dogs. Yeah, dogs. I'd pay 50 euros for steaks for you guys, which is crazy. Yeah, I'm worried about. I got to give him some real nice calories the next couple of days. Make sure he gets back up to weight. Okay. Well, now I'm going to get cracking here with all my work. Looks like my rosemary bush here in my raised bed kind of died. I think the mouse ate it. It's like somehow a mouse got in here, although I have wire. I don't know. It must have been a stunt mouse. Poobäschen. Nice to Pooh They're whining because he wants to go chase mice. Okay, come here, Konsume-san. Tschüss. Pooh Bear can't say tschüss. He's over there tied up around the tree. He's all the way. He's got his leash goes all the way around the raised bed. And yeah, he can't come around the corner. So we're going to end the live stream now. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. It was great. Great, nice weather today. We have some rain planned now, which is okay because I've been doing a lot of the work I wanted to do outdoors is done. And now I need to water all the plants or let nature do it. So Fridays for future, get a life and go plant a tree or garden or take care of some plants that might get destroyed otherwise and do something good. Go get a job, get a degree, change the world that way instead of going about running angry in the streets. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Like always, this is your host, Berserker Gang 2019. Thank you for tuning in live at the Berserker Camp, Viking Camp. I'm not a very good talk show host. I could work on that. I have the cool microphone. I want the one that hangs down like you know, from the cool talk show that I watch. Okay. End stream. Where's that button? Now I have sand. This computer is really going to have it someday. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe and see you soon. It's not ending. Why not? What do I do? Click on the button one more time. I think the mouse is kaput. Okay. Oh, there we go. All right, guys. See you later. Stay safe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.